A new report shows severe exploitation of not only big cats bred in captivity, but also workers in the industry. The report was compiled by the Four Paws animal welfare organisation. I'm joined now by its director in South Africa, Fiona Miles. Fiona, very good morning to you. I was quite shocked reading through your report. Let's start off with first the abuse when it comes to the workers in this industry.
Good morning, Jane. Sorry, if you can just repeat that question.
Let's start off with the abuse that many workers suffer in this industry before we get onto the animals.
Right. So yes, as an unregulated industry, there's many people working below minimum wage. These workers are often exposed to dangerous working conditions. Because there's very low standards of keeping conditions for the animals, the setup of many of the lion farms are not conducive to safe working environments. So the workers are exposed to not only the animals, but also then in terms of feeding those animals, a lot of dead carcasses of the feed, a lot of fecal material. These are all obviously open for exposure to zoonotic diseases. If we have a look then at, aside from minimum wage, obviously there's a lot of cash and, just cash in hand, no pay slips, no proper registration of those employees in terms of unemployment insurance and other benefits that employees should actually receive. So all around, it's not very great from our experience, not only during the preparation of this report and these interviews, but just going years back as well. Just from personal experience, seeing the way in which many of the workers were sort of treated was really shocking. So,
what sort of numbers are we talking about here? How many people are affected?
This industry provides jobs to a few hundred people, and therefore, it's from an economic point of view. There's often a big thing around the lion industry to say, well, we're providing so many jobs, but that's in fact not the case. And ideally, these would be people that would ultimately end up in rather ethical tourism than in this kind of industry.
There's quite a bit of support for the big cat breeding industry, but we know of many abuses when it comes to the way animals are handled. Tell us more about that. And I was also shocked at the cub mortality. Lions, 40%, tigers, 65%, leopards, 50%. What's going wrong there?
The cub mortality is very high, and that's just because, once again, this sort of unfettered breeding. In general, just to quickly describe the life cycle of a captive bred lion, the female lioness has cubs. Those cubs are taken away from her very quickly so that she's forced back into estrus, and where normally in the wild should be having a litter of cubs every 2 to 3 years, in general, these lionesses are being forced to breed 2 to 3 times a year, which is obviously outrageous. Those cubs are then hand-raised, bottle-fed. They don't receive the right kind of nutrition, which leads to all sorts of health issues for themselves, and hence that, coupled with inbreeding and other issues, then obviously puts them at risk for disease. There's been many reports of obviously shocking conditions for cubs where they're left without medical treatment, without veterinary care, to really suffer a terrible ending. Once those cubs are sort of out the cub petting cycle, so to say, where people are and tourists obviously engaging with them, they can be passed on for the walking with lions. They are trained to walk and sort of, submit to people. Thereafter, they either, once they're big enough, they go back into the breeding cycle, or they are passed on then for either hunting, trophy hunting, or could be killed for their bones. And so this is just a sort of a cycle of suffering, and this is what we really want to see is a break and a complete end to this vicious cycle.
Tell us more about what you want from us. I mean, I know many people have problems with the Environment Department when things like this are shown to them, and we know for a fact that the minute you pick up a cub, I mean, you've already interfered in their life in a negative point of view. So what do we do to put a stop to this horrific practice towards animals and the workers there?
So the very first thing I think is to make responsible decisions. Obviously, you know, people want to take their families out for a weekend or to do something quickly and think that they're contributing to conservation. But in fact, this is not conservation. This is exactly the opposite. And these animals don't contribute to conservation. So ideally, people will not be interacting with any wild animals. And I think that that's in any sort of experience. So just wanting to see nature is wonderful. I think we should support our national parks and other facilities, true sanctuaries, for instance. However, any facility that offers cub petting or interaction with wild animals should be an absolute no-no. Also, I think everybody can really contribute to this by supporting organizations such as Four Paws, signing the petitions that are online so that we can get our message heard and get the voices of these animals and the people working in this industry heard by government.
All right, well, Fiona, good luck and good to talk to you. Fiona Miles. Such an important point. You know, people think, oh, cute little animals, let's go touch them. But I mean, what was that documentary, The Tiger, something or another?
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows you the minute you touch that animal, I mean, you've already destroyed it.
Yeah, it's not what they're groomed for. It's not what they're made
for
us to be interacting with them that closely. Yeah.